Aloha! State of Mind Podcast. And I believe we are live. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the Aloha State of Mind Podcast. Myself, Mark Easy.
And DJ Free, how you doing out there?
I'm doing good. You actually just got back from my house, right?
Yeah, like
Literally.
2 days ago. Well, yesterday actually. I got back from San Diego. It was a week-long vacation for me. I mean, I did a gig
Yeah.
job, so that was nice. But yeah, I got to go to like different parks and sleep in the living room on the floor. The cool stuff, cool
Freaking
things.
awesome. Good friend because actually I got to take my wife out for like a week's vacation, just kind of hanging out, enjoying, relaxing away from the hustle and bustle of the household. You know how well you don't know how that goes because you're not
Yeah.
married.
Well, I don't know how it goes, but I uh, babysat your house, well, house sit and babysat your kids for a few times now, so I know how it can be. Like, especially because you have like 3 or 4 dogs at one time,
Yeah, and
and
a
that can
bird
get
and a fish and a cat.
right. Oh yeah, I forgot the cat. I mean, there's every time you go there, it's so loud. So I get it. You just want to get away. Gotta get
Right,
away
right.
for a while. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
definitely. Well, I want to thank you for that. And as we get into the podcast, what is that? Oh, your Magneto shirt you got on, huh? You representing tonight.
represented by Magneto.
We
And
already
there's a
got some
reason for
people in
that.
the we already got some people in the chat room already. We'll say what's up real quick. I believe to Joel and I don't know who 808 Neon Girl is, but hey, what's up?
Hey, but yeah. Well, today I think we're gonna have a lot of cool people in the chat room because we have a pretty interesting guest today. So that's gonna be
Say the
interesting.
least. Yeah, you know him better than me, so I'll let you give him. I'll let you do the sway in the morning introduction where you hype him all up and give him all his props.
So again, aloha to Joel and 808 Neo Girl. Am I saying that right? Neon Girl?
Yeah,
I,
Neon
I don't know.
Girl.
Maybe our guest will know who that is. But
Hmm.
our guest today, I've known her for so many years that I can't even count, honestly. We've been in the nightclub scene in Hawaii for so long. And he actually came up to Las Vegas, where I live now, and he did some DJ gigs up here. He tried it out. I mean, Hawaii always has this way of calling you back to the island. And so I understand why he went back. And luckily he did because, he met his beautiful wife, in Hawaii. And, now he's doing so well. But before I get into that, there's a reason why I wear my Magneto, because even though he's known as the Asian Tony Stark, I am the Filipino Magneto. So,
Oh, you had to go there. You had to go there.
so introducing to the podcast, the Low State of Mind podcast with Marquise and DJ Free, we got Mr. DJ Edit, also known as Agent Tony Stark, also known as Ryan. Say hi, Ryan.
What's up, guys? What's up?
There he is. Yay! Man, look at that. Okay,
Oh,
honestly,
nice. I like the graphics, Mark. Thank you.
I had to give you a warm welcome.
Yes.
look at that. We all got nice backgrounds today. Marcus got a suit.
Okay. So,
I
guys,
got
sorry to
hair
interject
today.
real quick. 808 Neon Girl is a friend of ours, Cheryl, local friend from
Oh, hi,
Kailua.
Cheryl. Oh, okay. So, did she go to Kailua? Kailua High?
Uh, I'll let her answer that. I'm not sure where Cheryl went to high school. She's actually a collector friend of mine that I met through collecting
Ah.
Funko. How's it, Joel? And yes, you can see this is definitely not everything, but there is a lot behind me.
Yeah, usually I have like a nice outline frame for you, but because you had such a wide screen without a Funko, I had to just like take that off and just let you expose yourself a little bit to our
Wow.
listeners out
Wait. I don't
there.
want to expose myself too much now. This is a family-friendly show, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Man, I gotta
But
tell
you
you,
have it.
when I see
What's
that
that?
background, I honestly thought that you took a picture of like yourself holding a Funko Pop, like in the promo picture, in the thumbnail of
Oh,
uh of a store. Like you're in a store. It's actually your house.
yeah,
That's
this is
crazy.
my place. It's my home office. Small kind crazy, but If you work. What's
Iron
up,
Man.
Jax? I see Jax jumped in.
What's up, Jaxie? So I got a question, man.
All right.
I mean, we're gonna get into the history of what your DJ life and everything, your radio life. But I gotta ask, man, like, what's with the Iron Man? Like, why is he your favorite character?
I grew up, reading a lot of the comics. We're all within this kind of same age bracket. So, you and I especially, we talked about comics a bunch over the last several years when I saw you at SCCC. But of course, there was X-Men. So I got to mention X-Men first for you since Magneto. But obviously, don't scare everybody with the guns for you. Easy there. So X-Men, a lot of Marvel stuff. I'm not so much a big fan of Batman and DC right now, but obviously growing up, Michael Keaton Batman, what was that, like 1989?
Yeah,
Still one of the best superhero movies of all time, by the way.
I
But
agree.
I grew up with comics. That was part of our age bracket, and I always resonated towards Iron Man because I don't know, maybe because he was one of those guys, he had problems and he was able to overcome them, and it's almost like a good role model figure for a lot of people, even though he's a fictional character. The three of us, we've worked in the nightclub industry. We know what it feels like to be around people that have substance abuse problems, alcoholics in specific, right? Which Tony Stark was. So I kind of resonated with the fact that he was able to take what he had in life and make it better for not only him, but for everybody else around him too. You see the progression of Tony Stark's character over the years and through the comic series and how he started as a very selfish person. And John, you've known me for almost 20 years. Elliot was in here with us right now, which he mentioned this at the wedding when he was giving his best man speech. He can tell everybody what an asshole I was when I was younger, and this is true story. I'm not ashamed to admit I was that 18-year-old kid working for I-94. I felt like I had a big chip on my shoulder, right? Because there was really nobody else at the time. Even though Tech and I are the same age, that's Dave Suji or DJ Technique for those of you that are not familiar with who I'm referring to. I was really the only one at the time that came into that squad, if you will. It was K Smooth, Mixmaster B, Jimmy Taco. Who else is from our longtime lineage? Crazy K, Spaz, James Coles. All the forefathers, if you will. Eddie L. Can't forget Eddie L. and J Kid as well. Right. All of our I-94 compadres. But it was that was it. And I had this big chip on my shoulder. I felt like I was the man. And if you think about even my character now over the years, over the last say 20 years, I've kind of followed that same progression where I started off as a real dick and I've learned from that. So I think that's why I resonate with the character a lot more, to be honest, is it's about always bettering yourself and realizing at the end of the day, it's not about just you.
Well, I like that over the years
in the early conversation.
Got a little humble. You got humbled, and what your skills. There's a reason why you had that I guess confidence in yourself is because you're part of this crew that were untouchable. K Smooth and all these guys. Jimmy Taco. I mean, he's a godfather of hip hop in Hawaii. Like radio hip hop. So to be a part of that crew, I get it. But I'm actually glad that you became a better person. And then honestly, if the character, because you I guess gravitated towards that character, if it helped you get better, man, all power to you, bro. So
yeah, that's a lot deeper answer than I thought it would be. I would be like, oh, I just like the character.
No,
that's an awesome answer, and I can see why you relate to it now. It's like almost parallels your life, not the superhero way, but I mean the progression of just starting off young and like you said with a chip on your shoulder, got something to prove to everybody, to just kind of maturing and just progressing yourself not only as a DJ, as a worker, but as a human being in general.
And part of it too is Tony is a tinkerer. Obviously, he's the mechanic. If he finds a problem placed in front of him, he's going to figure out a way to work around it or work through it, right? If you look at Tony through the years in the comics, he faces an adversary that beats him maybe the first time or poses him a big threat. What is he going to do? He's going to adapt his approach to them, whether it be building a new suit of armor, whether it be this, whether it be that, outsmarting them. That's one of the things that Tony Stark is good at. He's not
Well,
the strongest Avenger, you know. He's definitely not the smartest Avenger either. I wouldn't say he's the smartest, but I would say he's the most ingenuitive.
I
And
think they said that uh, Banner is actually the Hulk in his Banner, Doctor Banner thing. He's the smartest, but again, like you said, Tony's the most innovative.
yeah, very true.
Excuse me, but yeah, like in fact, bringing that point up, like adaptation to his villains, he was actually going up against Magneto, and the first time they fought, of course, Magneto is master of magnetism and all that, so he literally just pulled that suit apart. And
Yep.
Tony's like, oh, okay, all right. He came back with a full on like porcelain and carbon fiber suit,
Hmm.
the whole thing. And Magneto had no idea what to do with it. He's like, oh, you can't do
Right.
shit with me. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I get it, man. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's a deep. I like the fact that you actually have a deep meaning to why you like
Yeah,
it,
for sure.
and not just like I like the color red. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm not Chinese. It's hard to be racist about it.
Oh boy.
Color red.
My
I like
favorite color
gold.
is actually
My
light
favorite color.
blue. But oddly enough, our wedding colors were red and gold, even though we're not Chinese.
Why red and gold though? Is it because of the Iron Man thing?
Well, my wife proposed the idea first, and so as soon as it came out of her mouth, I'm like, sold.
Sold. Deal. So, well, you know what? I wanna, if it's okay with Mark, I kind of want to hear like the history of DJ Edit in Hawaii, and then
Yeah.
into Las Vegas and back
Well,
to
well, actually, before we get into that with the podcast, because of Loa's state of mind, we always want to delve a little bit deeper and just basically give the listeners some information about like where you grew up. You know what I mean? Because Hawaii's very regional, and
Yeah,
it tells a lot about where you grew up and how you grew up. So like whether you grew up from the west side to the east side, North Shore, everyone's a little bit different. So tell us a little bit about where you grew up, your childhood there, and then maybe progress into maybe where you went to high school, etc. Then we'll get into the DJ part of your life.
that is the typical Hawaii question, right? Is so what? Were you in high school?
yeah. Where you
Definitely.
from?
And believe it or not, guys, so that's actually how I met my wife too. Is a lot of people don't know, and it's not like we're trying to hide it or anything. It's just it doesn't come up in conversation all the time. But I met her online on eHarmony, and
Mhm.
the oddest thing about it is when our mutual friends started noticing that we were dating, they're like, "How did you not know her before?" Because she knows a lot of the same people that we know, right? She at one point was a go-go dancer at even Ocean Club, but I never met her because I think it was I came in after Paul left, and she
Yeah.
was working there as a go-go dancer when Paul was working there. So like Paul Brandon knew her from before, Doc knew her from before, a lot of people knew her from before. But the very first thing she asked me on eHarmony was like, "Where did you go to high school?" And I always give her grief about this because we can laugh about it, but the reason why
Right.
I'm bringing this up is that's exactly what Mark said. It's the typical Hawaii question. You ask that, and then you can kind of determine, okay, if you graduated here and you this age, that means you in grad what 95, so you know this person, huh? But okay, so for me, I grew up in Ainahaina, East Honolulu. I went to, believe it or not, I know some people know this. A lot of people have a hard time believing it, but I went to St. Louis,
Oh, okay.
and
All
obviously I was the star quarterback, right? I played D line junior year, right, right, right.
Of course.
But yeah, went to St. Louis. Always had a thing for music. My first venture into music was actually, I think I was 7 or 8 years old. My mom enrolled me in ukulele lessons over at Roy Suguma Studios. That's where my music bug started. So all through like my elementary years from 7 all the way through intermediate and then going into high school, I took lessons. And then when you're like usually teenage years, like 14, 15, 16 years old, if you're still taking lessons, they give you the opportunity from the studio. They'll ask, hey, are you interested in training to become an instructor? So I started teaching. I did that for a few years, up until the point I started interning for the radio station. And then after that point, it became too much.
I think got a little freeze on him.
I
Uh
was
oh.
about to ask him too. I mean,
Oh,
I
okay,
know.
so freeze.
connection. You
Yeah.
guys can hear me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we hear you, but your video's a little frozen. There you go. I see your eyes blinking.
Oh,
There
okay.
Yeah,
you go.
Yeah, yeah. Is it good? Are we back?
Yep.
I
Yeah,
think
you're
it.
back.
I see it still says poor connection, but just bear with me here if I start cutting out. So I was at UH my freshman year. Um, was doing full time at school, interning at the radio station, and working at the ukulele studio for 2 days a week. So at some point, I was like, "This is too much. I got too much on my plate." So I bowed out of instructing.
Oh,
Oh, there it goes again.
it's all
Sorry,
right.
needed
So,
to
Uh,
so you're
grab a
an
drink of water there. Yeah, I
instructor?
see it cutting in and out.
there you go. Yeah, pretty good.
So you're a
Okay.
ukulele instructor at Roy Sakuma's?
Yep. For about three-ish years or so before I stopped. And then from there, it was pretty much all radio.
Because
Radio
that's
from
what
18 years old. Spent my 18th birthday at World Cafe with Big T's and the
I.
Madhouse.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
The
That
man.
must have been, yeah. I can imagine how that was. But do you still pick up the uke from now and then? Or
Here and there. It's actually at the ook was always my dad's. We have a
oh, gosh.
baka tenor. So I left it
Uh-huh.
at my parents' house. My dad will pick it up from time to time and just fuss around with it, but it's his ook to begin with. See if there's
Gotcha,
new
gotcha.
comments in here and nothing new. Okay, I
We was
yeah, World Cafe, Cheryl.
oh there.
Oh, what?
Okay.
What, you gonna serenade me?
No, I cannot because I don't know how to sing. I don't know how to play either. So,
Just
but
speak them.
so like, were you in band like when you're in St. Louis?
I was in the
What
marching
what
band. We had a terrible marching band at St. Louis, but I was in the marching band.
what did you play?
I will let you guess.
The tuba,
Oh yeah, all day, like the
the
40-year-old
cello.
virgin.
Like you have to like
Oh.
get up and sit down every time you want to use a cello.
Yeah, you gonna bring the cello on the marching band field.
Right? Like you got to bring a chair and everything.
Come on,
So,
Portuguese.
seriously, what did you?
Joel
Joel
said
is
the
saying
trumpet.
trumpet, and Joel is
Yeah.
incorrect. I'll just set the record straight. I played clarinet.
Is that the same? Almost the same thing as a trumpet?
Not quite.
Clarinet.
I'm not actually sure. Is that the
Clarinet
black
is
Yeah.
like a
a
flute?
black wood
Yeah,
instrument.
yeah.
It looks more like
Yeah.
a what is that? The recorder, the one that we all play in elementary school.
See, I
Is that
got to go
kind
back and watch the what you call it, Peter and the Wolf, so I can learn my instruments again.
I think
But
it was maybe like kind of like looks like the Snake Charmers play.
Yeah, kind of,
So,
kind of, sort
okay.
of.
similar.
But yeah,
Yeah, I was in a
from
big
there
band
it
person,
was
so
just radio station from 18 years old. Worked at I-94 until I believe I was 22,
Mm-hmm.
hmm
and then I left. I jumped. I actually was out of radio for a little bit. I started doing stuff for Power, just doing mix show stuff for them. That didn't last too long, maybe 4 or 5 months, and then I jumped over to the Bomb, and I was with them for maybe about 3 years, up until the point I was 25, and then I moved to Vegas.
Wow. Okay, so you went from Power. What is that? Power
104.3.
104, 103, and then you went over to the Bomb. What made you go over to these different radio stations instead of just
Um,
sticking with I-94 and all that?
well, I mean, it's long past, so I mean, we can be candid about it. When I was at I-94, Pablo, I think he had been let go from whatever station he was working at. So he ended up coming home. And at the time at I-94, I was the imaging director and production director for all of our I-94 stuff. Basically all of the imaging stuff came through me. He came in because he wanted to do a bunch of air check stuff and put a demo together. And long story short, from there, what they ended up doing was they cut my hours drastically. And keep in mind, I was only part time at this moment anyway, so it's not like I was getting the most money. They cut me down to something like 4 or 5 hours a week, and they gave Pablo my job. So I let as by the way, as a like 21-year-old kid,
Mm-hmm.
still again chip on the shoulder. I got pretty mouthy about it, and a lot of people that know me from my younger days know that I got pretty mouthy. It did, and it was a constant thing. What you can do, you can hit me, I smaller than you, and that didn't always work. I got hit a couple times. But I mean, I deserved it. That's the
Well,
humbling experiences. I deserved it, but that's what basically ended my stay at I-94. Is I basically said one day I'm done. I walked out. I didn't give back my keys. I got suspended, and I just never went back.
okay. Well, I
So
mean,
I'm
honestly,
pretty sure in a box around my storage area in this room somewhere, I still have my fob key from Clear Channel.
well, I mean, we're all from radio.
Hilarious.
We've all been through all that political crap that they go through. I hate to say it, but it's been like that since the beginning. Um,
Yeah, it
like when
has.
it's who you know, and if somebody needs a job, like your best friend from 5, 6 years ago needs a job, okay, well, who can we get rid of? Oh, well, he's only working part time anyway. Oh, okay, and then that's how it goes. You know what I mean? And I don't think
Yeah,
it's anybody else's fault but the high ups. Because everybody needs a job, but yeah, they don't care. It's who they know and who they want there. So
but the
yeah,
difference with
so
my approach and everything now is that as you grow older, you know what you bring to the table and you know what kind of value you provide. So
mhm.
if I had been in that same position now, I'd have been like, well, you know what? That's fine. I know what I'm worth. If they don't value that, then that's fine. And then you just
So,
part on amicable terms, right?
yeah.
Because
So
Yeah.
what made
the
you go
world is
to
not perfect, regardless if it's political and like everything like that. It's you can't take everything personally, and I used to do that a lot when I was younger. Is take everything personally,
Mm.
and that's where I got in a lot of trouble, to be honest. But it's also a big learning experience, and that's what's taught me to be the man I am now. You know,
Well, I mean, what made you go over to Power? Because I mean, there's a lot of radio stations out there, 93.1, all that kind of stuff.
at the time, 93.1 wasn't doing any kind of mix show stuff at all, and I think I had been out of radio for a little bit, and I think it was KC that actually approached me and asked me, hey, we have a spot for one more mixer on our mix show. Would you want to provide mixers? I'm like, yeah, sure.
Nice.
Because I wasn't doing it for months on end. So I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll get back into it. And
Hmm.
I didn't like the restrictions I think that they were putting on me. Like I couldn't play some of the stuff I had wanted to. And so Ryan Sean asked me, same thing. We have a spot. It would give you more airtime because they were looking at doing like a Saturday morning mix show, a 10 o'clock mix show every weekday
Nice.
or something. So it gave me more time. It's not like it paid me. It's just more for the exposure portion of it.
Being a radio
Mhm.
DJ is something back then. Well, I mean,
It
it's still something
was
now, but
in the late '90s. It definitely was the big thing,
yeah.
and rolling into the early 2000s, that was the thing to do, right? I mean, if you had Tech on here right now, he would tell you the same thing. We used to like on the weekend we would record mixes from Eddie, K Smooth,
Hmm.
James Coles,
Yeah.
Master Spaz. I mean, they were the guys, and we all grew up wanting to be exactly like them. Yeah.
So Casey gave you the spot at where at the bomb or at Power?
At Power,
Power.
Oh, okay. So I got a question. Do you know what KC stands for?
I do not.
Okay, I don't know if I should do this though, because I'm kind of laying it out there. There's this one girl that I knew back in the days, and she went to high school with him, and they gave him
He's from Guam,
the
right?
Yeah, Guam.
yeah, and she was like, and she used to work at Rumors, like she was one of the waitresses at Rumors, and I was like, so yeah, do you know Casey? Like, yeah, I know Casey, blah blah blah, through the radio, all this kind of stuff. And she's like, yeah, Kitty Cat is really cool. Like, we used to call him that. I was like, oh, Kitty Cat? Are you kidding me? So if you
Is
ever
that what
see
it stands
Casey,
for? Wow.
that's what. Well, he might deny it, but that's what she said, and she knew him from high school. But yeah, anyway,
Damn.
I just called
Like
him out.
I used to live with him before, and I didn't even know that. We were roommates for a minute,
Oh,
and I didn't even know that.
John dropping knowledge there.
Oh, drop it now and watch. He's gonna come back. He's gonna spike a volleyball at my face, dude. Have you
Yeah.
seen what that guy's doing now? Like he does that beach volleyball in Waikiki. Man, the guy's cut. He's like looking all good. I was like, man, I miss those days. But anyway, so so you went over to Power, and what made you go over to the Bomb?
Just the more creativity. Ryan told me I could play more stuff that I wanted.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
because that was at the point too. Keeping in mind before I moved to Vegas, that's when like the whole mashup scene was starting to become really prevalent. Um, Playing more open format, so it's not just hip hop and R&B, which is typical of what late '90s, early 2000s club music was. It was all hip hop, R&B, and
Yep.
trance.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of like house stuff in the typical top 40 clubs where we all work, like Maharaja. Well,
Hmm.
excuse me. I take it back. When you were at Maharaja, before it became Zanzibar,
Hmm.
Latin house was a big thing in the late '90s.
Oh yeah.
You know, and then from there it slowly progressed to like more trance stuff, and then trance was really prevalent for a long time, and then moved towards right before I moved to Vegas, everything was electro, and then progressive came in, and then now I don't even keep track with everything is anymore. Yes,
Me
I
neither.
also miss Radio Free too, Cheryl. That was a good station.
Radio Free Hawaii. That was the best.
Well, I mean,
You know
it
what I like,
was
Cheryl? You know
play
what I
what you
like about
want.
Radio Free Hawaii is that they used to play like the Pixies, the Ramones, all of that, dude. They used to play like Smashing Pumpkins when no other radio stations would play.
Yeah,
Excuse me. So yeah, Cheryl, thank you for bringing that up. So.
I ever since I moved to Vegas and I came back, I've always been a huge proponent for playing open format. Doesn't matter where you are, it keeps it fun.
Hmm.
It's just a lot of the younger DJs now. It's not. I'm not trying to point fingers and say that they should be doing this, they should be doing that. If I'm saying anything, be yourself. Don't do
Yeah.
something because somebody tells you you should, kind of thing. I was just a big proponent of it because when I moved to Vegas and I saw the energy about these songs that some of it I had grown up listening to, some of them I didn't.
Hmm.
I grew to love a lot of the different genres that I never used to play. And it was an organic thing for me is why I started to love it. So
Yeah. I think I feel the same way. Like being from Hawaii, growing up, like you said, the club scene, '90s was all like strictly mainly hip hop, R&B, and I felt like when I went to Vegas, I was like, wow, these guys are mixing like rock,
yeah,
all these different, and like making people dance, and it's like that's like unheard of. Like if you play that in Hawaii, they'd be like, yeah, get out of here. But they would mix all those like rest in peace DJ M, but like
yes,
he would just play whatever. Like he'll play Guns N' Roses in a set, and you know what I mean, all this '80s music, and people would just go bananas for it.
yeah.
And
He
I'm
would
like,
play even like
what the?
polka. He would
Yeah.
play polka. Excuse me.
Like the chicken dance, dude. Everybody go nuts.
Or when he played at was it EDC when he played Shout?
Hmm.
Mm.
The crowd just went crazy. And I
I,
apologize for coughing in the mic, guys. I'm getting over a cold. I had a pretty nasty
dude,
virus last week.
so no worries. We
Hopefully,
all,
I don't think no any coronavirus out there yet, huh?
No. Well, actually, I think they had one case and they're starting to screen people at Honolulu International now.
they're gonna have to, man, because if that thing hits silent, whew, can't even
Yep.
imagine.
Already. I'm going to start swimming to you guys.
Might as well start now, dude. Or a little canoe in the middle of the ocean.
Well, if I start paddling now, I'm going to become there for Comic Con, Mark. Guaranteed.
Okay.
So, did you
I'm
get your
going-
ticket for this year already?
Of course. What kind of question is that? You,
Well,
you know
the
how
thing,
the badge sales go.
yeah, I'm about to say like unless you get it within the first maybe 20 minutes, you're not getting it. So, how do you get your badges? Like, is it because you already got it from last year that they have a portal where you can get it?
So, as a returning member, they call it returning registration. They typically do it in November of every year. So,
Mhm.
obviously, the con is in July,
Yeah.
and you'll get notification you qualify for returning registration, and it's all luck of the draw. You go into the waiting room, either you get in or you don't. If you get in, you can buy for up to 4 people, including you. So some people
Mhm.
will just try, if I went this year but I'm not going to go next year, I'll just try and help my friends, for example. But
Yeah,
you can
right.
buy for up to 4 people. If you don't get in during returning reg, then you're subject to open registration, which everybody, their mom, their cat, your uncle's camel is going to try for.
Right.
Yeah.
Luckily for me, I register as a professional,
Yeah.
so
See,
I'm
you don't
guaranteed.
have a problem there.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm lucky, man. It took me 2 years to get a professional badge, though. But once I got it, I'm like, I'm never gonna give it up.
Yeah. Don't, because you never have to worry about the waiting room portion of it.
Yeah.
The only downside for professional badges, these days, depending on what it is that you're into purchasing, if you're in, like for me, obviously, I'm into Funko and toys. It's the big
Hmm.
reason why I go to Comic Con. Um, they they kind of block professional badges in a certain
Yeah.
respect because so many things are now lottery driven at Comic Con. So
Yeah.
it's good in a way because you don't have to spend all night waiting in a line to guarantee your spot to buy a product. Although a lot of us that are hardcore fans of whatever it is, whether it be Lego, Funko, Hasbro, etc., you'll give up the
Mhm.
time because you know that you're going to get your product.
Yeah. That's what you're there for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the lottery
Mhm.
portion, it does help free up your time so that way you can actually sleep in your bed versus sleeping on the grass in sale or sleeping in sales pavilion or wherever they're going to be trying to do stuff. So it gives you a better experience of being at Comic Con because you have better use of your time.
Yeah.
However,
But yeah, with the
professional
professional badge,
badge, yeah, professional badge, you're basically shut out of luck there.
yeah, professional and exhibitor badges.
Oh,
Like a lot of
exhibitors are the worst. Yep,
yeah,
because
they will let you get in.
they know that if you go out and you buy something, you're gonna go back to your booth and flip it. And then a lot of the times, too, exhibitors are allowed on the floor. Professionals are typically also allowed on the floor before the con even opens.
Yeah.
So back in 2015, which is the first year I went,
Uh-huh.
I tried to go to the Funko booth as soon as I got in on preview night, and mind you, I got to their where their line was within 3 minutes of the doors opening. Line was
Uh-huh.
capped. There's no possible way that like what is it? Maybe like 200 people got into the line within that amount of time. It's
Yes.
because exhibitors were on the floor and they would flip their badge because they had a exhibitor and they had a regular Congour badge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they really. I mean, honestly, I understand that you want to get certain items and all that, but as an exhibitor and as a professional, you gotta let the people that paid to get in there, to get all this stuff, go in, at least get a chance to go in the line. You know.
Agreed.
Uh,
Yep.
sorry, but yeah, um, yeah, dude. So this year, I might not even go this year, but I already got my I already registered for my badge and everything.
Hmm.
So again, it's hard because I don't know. It's the hotels. You got to book it and all this kind of stuff, and got to figure that out. But
Yeah, for anybody, I know Cheryl, she's a big collector as well, but I don't believe she's ever been to Comic Con. For anybody that's a collector, but you've never been to one of the major cons, and I'm not talking about going to any of the local cons here that we have in the state of Hawaii, because while it's good that Free gets to come home for these kinds of things, he'll tell you there is no comparison, even between like, say, if you go to like Las Vegas Comic Con or whatever they're calling it now, Free. If you compare
yeah,
that to even going to like Emerald City or New York Comic Con, those are
wow,
still a lot bigger, but San Diego by far is the craziest. It doesn't matter what your fandom is. Even if you're into like horror graphic novels of a specific subgenre, you can find items for
I'm
purchasing in San
yeah.
Diego. Yeah. It
And
doesn't
not
matter
that
what it is.
it's not even just inside the convention center. It's literally all of downtown San Diego. You
Yeah.
know,
The whole gas lamp. I agree.
the whole gas lamp.
Hold this
I
down a
mean,
little.
you got like galleries and special shops that have the Walking Dead cast going to be there, all that kind of stuff. So it's the whole downtown, dude. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I've done New York, I've done Denver, I've done all of these big ones. San Diego is probably the craziest one
I agree.
because it's the whole city. New York is it's the convention center, and it can't go past that for the simple fact that people are gonna get run over. New York, they don't give a fuck. Like
Yeah. Well, I
New York,
mean, that's right in the heart of Chelsea. Is that Chelsea? I mean, the Javits Center. Where is that? It's
yeah,
kind
they
of like
have
Chelsea.
it.
Yeah. It's kind of like Chelsea. Close
Yeah,
enough. But
but I mean, they don't care. They're just like, hey, you know what, you nerd, get out of my way. I don't care if you dress like Spider Man. I'm gonna run you over. So yeah,
I'm gonna quote Ernie Hudson here from Ghostbusters. New York, what a town.
Oh boy.
So Cheryl's sister has San Diego and D23. Have you been to D23, bro?
I have not yet.
Me too, dude. I want to do that one. Like the artists that are in Artist Alley and all that over there at D23, you have to be invited by Disney to
Yeah.
do it. And the way I do my drawings of Disney stuff, there's no way they're gonna let me. Excuse me. So yeah, it's I gotta somehow figure out a way to get in that. But if anything, I just want to go and just check it out. You know what I mean? Are
You
you
could
drinking
always
from
do that.
a
Yep.
show it to us?
Ah,
Yeah. So all right.
true, true to form.
Hey man, if you're a fan, you're a fan. What
Like
can
I
I
don't got a
say?
Magneto club. What you trying to say? But
I think you're slacking
Unless,
then.
I am.
Yeah, like Cheryl said, Iron Man everything.
So
I mean,
is
Iron
Cheryl
Man everything.
look
too?
behind me. I have my
Hmm.
curio over there. So obviously I
Is
collect a
it?
lot of Funko stuff, but this
Right.
curio is for everything just non Funko Iron Man. So I have a quarter scale, which I got for my wedding, a quarter scale Iron Man. I think it's a Mark 45. I have a six
Mhm.
scale. I have other, what else do I have back there? Like Egg Attack. I have a whole bunch of different
Is
figures
that
from.
hot toys though? But what
I
kind
have two Hot Toys.
like Mark don't know this, but that you're looking at like $250, $300 toys, dude.
Oh,
Even more. That's probably
if you want
five
to go
hundred.
there, I think Joel had brought this up the last time when I was actually just in the chat room. My Funko collection, if you go on the quote unquote market value of it, it's worth close to $20,000.
Oh God, dude,
Good
you're nuts.
Yeah.
lord.
So
Well,
it's pretty serious. It's pretty serious.
yeah,
Yeah.
appreciate. For
What are you?
some people who might be watching this a little bit, and myself possibly, like, first of all, could you explain exactly what the Funko Pop things you collect are exactly, and then maybe how you got into it?
Sure. Well, why don't we go with a little back history about Funko as a company itself? They started in 1998. They actually were started by a man named Mike Becker in his garage of all things with his brother. And unfortunately, they don't have the documentary on making fun. It's called Making Fun on Netflix anymore. Otherwise, I tell you, definitely go watch it if you're interested.
Mm-hmm.
He started the company with a friend and his brother. Just basically, they wanted to make products that they thought were cool. And it all started with Bob's Big Boy, believe it or not. They made a bobblehead for Bob's Big Boy. The company kind of started from there. What we, most fans that got into Funko, like for example, me, this is one of the original property characters called Chet.
Mm-hmm.
Most people started getting into collecting Funko as a result of Pop, which was released at San Diego Comic Con in 2011. And they've kind of just like spouted out of control from there since. But Brian Mariotti is the current CEO. He took over the company from Mike Becker. I think it was in like 2004, 2005. I could be definitely really wrong with my dates there, and some of the historians might want to shoot me, but um, it was Brian Mariotti that actually made Funko what it currently is today. The reason
Mm-hmm.
why I got into collecting it, believe it or not, was back in 2012, right around my birthday. My birthday's in August. Keeping in mind, this was right around the time that Iron Man 3 had come out. So I was at Ala Moana. I was looking for like a birthday gift for myself, and I saw the 4 Iron Man 3 pops sitting at Animation Magic, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. I hadn't seen these before. So I ended up buying the four of them, and I left it on my desk at work. And this was like 2013. So 2 years later, I was friends with a guy, and we decided to go to Comic Con because we got badges, and that was when I started to kind of go down the rabbit hole.
Wow.
Oh boy.
2015, I bought a few more, and I saw how crazy it was. Obviously, being at Comic Con for the first time, and then in 2016, it's kind of like when I started going really hard with it. And then
That's-
I'll be honest, and everything. I'll be completely transparent. I found it as a way to like fill a void in my life, if you will, because I was lonely. You know, I had been through many, many, many bad relationships, bad women treating me poorly, and you know how some people they hoard as a
Yeah.
means to like feel comfortable around them, like whatever way you call it. I kind of, in retrospect, I was doing that because these things gave me comfort. I'm like, oh, these are cool. I like seeing them. But I'm
Mhm.
a lot of newer Funko collectors. They'll leave all of their stuff into their boxes. Like I mean, the stuff behind me is in hard cases for a reason because those are the more pricey items, if you will,
Yeah.
as far as the market value goes. But I'm also a big proponent. If you look around me, I'm an advocate for pulling your stuff out of the box and enjoying it because a lot of the items that you have, you'll never be able to see some of the details on them. Like, unfortunately, the two on my desk here, I don't have anything that fits that mold. You give me a sec, let me grab one.
All right.
Okay,
That's a lot of fun, Cole.
so this guy, for example, Popo, if you flip him
Oh.
around, so in the box, you would only see this. But if you flip him around, happy,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Sad.
right?
Right.
What else we
Yeah,
got?
you probably would never know if you didn't take it out of the
Yeah,
box.
yeah. Unless you take it out of the box, you can't see that other face.
That's great.
Interesting.
I'm trying not to get too interested in it before I start digging a
Start
rabbit hole for
collecting.
Well,
myself.
you asked the question. You're coming down the rabbit hole with me now. So here's another one. This guy is called Frank von Wiener. These are all, by the way, original IP for Funko. They're called Spastic Plastic. So he's a little hot dog guy, as you can see. Okay,
Mhm.
so he's got a little ketchup gun behind him, and again, you wouldn't see this unless you pull it out. He has his little mustard gun.
Oh.
So again, big proponent for pulling stuff out of box, as we call it in our as our collecting hobby here. Out of box or OOB is commonly what they call it.
OB.
OOB, out of box.
Oh, OB. Out of box. Gotcha. I'm trying to get up with the lingo. I'm trying to step my game up.
Yeah,
Like
gotta come
there's
with it.
certain ones.
Sorry,
Like
what?
I started collecting, and the thing is, I told people because my friend Jax, he's a collector, and he started to collect Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, all that, and he had like a ton, and he's like, dude, why don't you collect with me? I was like, dude, I don't want to. And I figured, and I told him this until they make a Magneto, I'm not gonna collect until they make a Magneto. What happens? Like a year later, the Hot Topics came out with a Magneto. So that's what started my collection. And now I got a few that, like, I didn't even know this. I got a Captain America glow in the dark. I think it was what was it called? Winter Soldier?
Okay.
Yeah, the Winter Soldier Captain America, blah, 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 blah. And I didn't know this until I looked up how much it was because it's a Hot Topic exclusive.
Oh, that one's worth $300 now.
Yeah, it's like, well, at the time that I looked at it, it was like 250.
Sorry,
Excuse me.
guys. One sec. Let me just close my door.
All right. Wow, you have some Funkos too, free? How many do you have?
Yeah, dude. Like, I again, like the Captain America, I didn't even know I got it for like $14, and then
Oh, damn.
it was at a Toy Con, excuse me, here in Vegas, and I just sat on it because I'm not really a collector. I'm not looking at it for the money, and then I looked,
Right.
it was like $250. I think it's up to 300 now.
Yeah. The last I saw on it, it was about 300. And of the Captain America figures, aside from the actual Comic Con pieces, that's probably the highest one.
Really?
Yeah. The only one I can think of, actually, I'm sorry, there's two. There's a Gemini exclusive Captain America that's a black and white variant. That one is pretty pricey, very hard to come by. It's like 240 pieces, I think, limited. And then there's the San Diego Comic Con all metallic one. That one is a 480 piece release. That was done in 2012, and yeah, that's actually a really good one, John. The metallic Captain America is over $1,000 now, which
Are
I
you
do not
serious?
know. Yeah,
Wow.
but
Again,
yeah,
well,
that one is a good piece. That's a very nice piece. It has a really nice glow to it too.
yeah. I mean, it looks cool when I turn off the lights and you can see it. Well, okay, and the thing is, like, a lot of people are talking about, like, oh, this pop stuff is gonna go away. It's gonna be like Beanie Babies, blah blah blah.
No, it's
But
not.
but the thing is,
It's definitely not going to be like Beanie Babies.
Okay? Well, a lot of people don't understand. Beanie Babies had purple starlight, purple starlight bear, camouflage tigers. This actually has pop culture reference to like Avengers, uh, all these different things. So they have all these properties. I mean,
Yep.
even Lanai with the Aloha plate, what you call that? The food truck that he has.
Hmm.
Even they have pop
Yeah.
fun, pop
Yeah.
item.
The
So
big difference for Beanie Babies and for Funko in specific is no matter what you're a fan of, one of Funko's monikers is that everybody's a fan of something. So whether it be like for me, obviously I'm a big Marvel fan. I'm a big fan of their original IP. But if you're a big DC fan and you like Superman, you have a lot of stuff. If you like
yeah.
Flash, there's a lot of stuff. If you're a fan of Garfield, there's something in your alley there for Garfield, you know?
See, look at that. That's so cute. I
Um, if
mean,
you're into Harry
even
Potter, Star Wars,
like if you're a fan of like
Bob's
Blueberry
Burgers,
Crunch,
you know, it
right?
doesn't matter what you're a fan of. There's very, very, very few folks in this world that will not be a fan of something along the lines that Funko produces. Even like Hello Kitty, for example, right?
Yeah.
Since we were talking about my wife and she's a big Hello Kitty fan, they have Hello Kitty pops. The first wave of them are hard to come by. So they, it's what in our collector world, when something is produced and they stop producing it, we call it being vaulted. So that means they stop producing it. So a lot of the
Mhm.
older pieces that were produced back before, like Hello Kitty or the original Simpsons lines, those were general releases. You could walk into like even the Gecko books. Ted over there, he used to sell a lot of stuff, or like the original Kiss set, Elvis.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
go for crazy amounts of money now, and they were. It's not like it was a Comic Con exclusive. It wasn't at SDCC. It's just it was produced in limited numbers back in 2012. So if you have those original pieces, they're very sought after from collectors, and basic economics: supply drives demand. So at that point, if you have a guy that really wants the Homer Simpson pop and he's willing to pay $500 for it, we have a database that keeps track of all the sales on Mercari and eBay. And when somebody buys one for a lot of money, it bumps up the value on the market. Yeah,
Oh,
Oh, okay.
that's how.
that's
I mean,
cool.
it's the same thing like this the sneaker game. Like a lot of guys now they're up on StockX. You buy a pair of Jordans or Yeezys or something, and you're able to get them or cop them. I guess is their lingo now. I'm not hip with that. You're able to purchase it at retail value, and you know that there's a lot of other people that are willing to buy it and pay 3 times what retail is for it. To each their own. Um,
Right.
I'm not a big advocate for flippers. However, I understand the market behind it because John, how much it takes to go to Comic Con, how expensive it is. So for anybody that ever asks me, and my friends don't do this anymore because I just flat out tell them no, it's not worth my. Yeah, I will try if it's Funko related. I'll try if I'm not already gonna purchase it for myself and keep it. I'll try to get it for them. But if you're gonna ask me to go out of my way and wait in line for 5 hours, I'm gonna charge you more money for something. I don't care what you say. If you don't like it, then my mom always tells me TS, or if you guys don't understand that, tough shit. Get it yourself, right? Because
Right.
really, I'm giving up my time. When you think about this world, what's worth more to you, money or time? Time is more important. You can work another 5 hours at your job and you can make up that extra, like whatever I asked for. Theoretically, let's just say something costs $50 at the con. I'm going to tell them, I'm going to charge you 300 because I have to bring it back if it's a big item or something like that. I'm just making it up, by the way. They might think, wow, why are you charging me $250 extra? You think about the time I had to sacrifice 5 hours of my time. What is your time worth to you? So,
Yeah.
Like 5 hours
hence
of
the
your
reason I
time.
understand the flippers because they go out of their way. They'll wait in the freezing cold in line in New York City for a sneaker drop. So, if they make more money out of it, more power to them.
It's like every
Yeah.
San Diego, I literally have to tell people I go online, I put up the same post that I've done every year. I do not get stuff for other people. Don't ask me. Oh yeah, I really want to, especially if it's Funko, Hasbro, or
Yeah, or
like
Lego.
all the, yeah, like oh Lego's the worst. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. Like when I'm there, I'm working. I'm
Yeah,
at a booth. I'm networking and I'm doing all that. It's not a vacation for me. Like I'm
I
actually,
agree, Mitch.
I'm actually
Card collecting. I was into collecting cards in high school. I never got really super deep into it, but card collecting is another one. Just think of it this way: anytime that you have a collector-based hobby, there's always going to be sharks and jackals. And there's guys that are in it for the good reasons, that they just love the hobby and they want that, grail piece. I don't know if they call them grails in other worlds, but within the Funko community, hard to obtain items are typically called grails. That's just
yeah,
our
the
lingo.
whole
Yeah, holy grails. So with card collecting, it's just like anything. You got sharks. You got guys that'll just rip packs and look for one specific card, so that way they can sell it for the obscene amounts of money. Hot Wheels is the same thing. It's one of those hobbies right now that's really picking back up. Hot Wheels are a lot cheaper though. You buy them for like 50 cents or $1. If you happen to stumble on a super treasure hunt, in some rare cases, you might be able to sell that dollar car for $100. That's 100%. I'm sorry, that's a what 1,000% profit.
1,000%.
You know,
yeah.
It's
collecting is
crazy.
collecting. Collect what
Yeah.
a lot of people they're starting to get into collecting Funko because they see it as very faddish. But if you look at my wall, I'm very specific in the things that I like. I like Marvel. I like, as I mentioned, Funko's original IP. And you can see behind me in the, I guess, what is this, stage right, this side? I have
Mhm.
some of the old ad icons. So you can see like Tony the Tiger. There's a Frankenberry up there. I don't
Right.
know if you can see over there. There's Groot. You know, I stick to the things that I enjoy.
Sorry.
As you should. Cool, cool. So, quick question for you. So out of your collection, what's your favorite piece
My
or favorite
favorite
character?
What's your grail?
my favorite is actually the one that my wife had made for me for our wedding.
What?
That was part of my wedding gift, yeah.
Where is it? Show it to us.
Hold on. I'll get
Yeah, go
it.
get it, man. I want to see that.
That's interesting. That's, this should be cool.
You know what I like about this interview so far is
How's
that
that?
it's totally different from what we thought it was gonna be. And like
No.
I knew the collecting and I knew that the Funko stuff, like he's deep. I didn't know how deep. He actually went to Hollywood because
Mhm.
Funko opened up a shop there, and he went to the grand opening.
Dang.
So that's pretty crazy.
All
Yeah, pretty
right.
different than I thought it was gonna be. All right, let me see.
Okay, John, I just gotta say it. Stop looking at my ass because I know you were doing it as I was bending over.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
so
let's go to my pen.
there you go.
Dude, so she got that made for you?
Yeah. And the whole thing about it is this is made to look like the outfit that I wore for our engagement photos. So,
Oh.
needless to say, when I opened the box, now, keeping in mind she's not a big fan of my collecting, but she tolerates it, I think is a good way to say it.
You understand?
So when I
Yeah.
opened the box and I saw this, I was like literally about to cry because it means so much to me. It's a likeness
Right.
of me.
As
There's
of
not
now,
there's nothing else like this in the entire world. It's a one of one.
that is
Hey.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's love. I tell you, that's
Yeah. Yeah.
love.
So,
Like,
and the other thing too,
what's the
some
name of
other
it?
collectors they might say like they might say, "Oh, this is my favorite piece because it's the most dollar value." It's not about that. I have some pieces that are worth like singly on their own like $2,000. It's not about that.
And
Like,
that's gonna bring me to my next question. What is the most valuable piece you have? Since I wanted to get your favorite as far as sentiment, and we found that in your personal one. But what is the one that's your that's valued the most?
The most
If you don't mind sharing
expensive,
with us. Mhm.
I probably won't grab it off the wall. It's behind me in
Right,
the
right.
that big rack there, but it's their company mascot, Funko's company mascot is named Freddy. It's like this guy right here on
Freddie
my
Funko.
table. Yeah, Freddy Funko's. He's their mascot. Every
Mhm.
year during Comic Con San Diego, during an event called Funko Fun Days, which is like the annual gathering of like it's basically like a big family reunion for all the Funko fanatics. That's what we call
Mhm.
ourselves.
Hmm.
They do limited edition releases that are only available for the folks that attend the party.
Oh
So
wow.
Ah.
back in 2012, and mind you, this is before I started going, so I happened to just stumble upon this in good fortune. This is Freddy Funko as Ghost Rider. There's only 96 of them in the entire world. Well, 95 now because I own one of them. The market value on it, and it's only because there's been X amount sold on eBay within the last, like, I'd say like 3 years. The market value is close to $2,000.
Wow.
Honestly, it probably should be higher considering the rarity of it, but to each their own. It's not about the dollar value.
Right.
But
So
still,
I kind of like that they have that. I don't know what you say. Like they keep track of what it sells for, so it kind of dictates the value, which is kind of
Yeah,
smart.
I mean,
I
just like
like that.
anything, right? Every kind of collector hobby has an aftermarket. Whether it's
Right.
we talked about sneakers or kicks, whatever you call them now. Mitch is mentioning play cards. Like, dude, even Pokemon. Pokemon
oh
has
yeah,
resale value. Magic
Yeah.
cards have resale value.
Yeah. It's all what someone will pay for it. You know what I mean? If
Exactly.
it has sentimental value to someone and they have money, they don't care about the money. They just want the thing. They'll pay whatever 5, 10,000 if they got it. They don't
Hmm.
care because it means something to them. It might be something from their childhood they remember or they want to relive or have
Yes.
it has that value to them. The monetary value doesn't outweigh that for them. So it's always
does
someone will pay for it.
does Funko have a Beckett magazine where it's all listed, or is it online?
It's online, so there's a website that most of us go to called Pop Price Guide.
Okay.
Although the other thing that we've all been recommending now is Funko over the last year, they started putting in a lot of digital stuff. So they actually have their own app, which allows the fans to interact with the company. And it references this guide as far as market pricing goes. But what you're able to do is if you buy a product, obviously all of them have a barcode, right? On the bottom here. Let me just show you the Garfield one. There's a barcode on the bottom, so the app will allow you to scan the barcode, and you can actually catalog all the pieces that you have in your own collection.
Oh,
So if it comes out to it, like a lot of people like myself, you end up starting to hoard things, and not everything is out on display, and you might forget, okay, did I get this before or did I not? So you can actually go into your iPhone or your Android, you can pull up the app, and you could scan your item and like, okay, cool, I have this already, I don't have to buy it.
wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So much convenience.
Yeah.
So
That's
Technology, man. You got to get up on it.
that's
right.
hardcore. If you have so many that you don't even know you have it,
Yeah,
you need an app to keep track that you have
I've
it.
limited what I buy these days because obviously I have a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see the mess
Mm-hmm.
on the sides. I strategically placed my camera where it is so that way it doesn't look as messy in here, but it's a mess.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
But I definitely enjoy collecting these things. As I mentioned at the start of the podcast, I would not have met one of my closest friends, Cliffy or Keone, had it not been for me collecting these things. And he's become such a good friend that he was a groomsman for my wedding.
So you
Yeah.
had Elliot as your best man.
Yeah.
How long have you known Elliot? Because I met him probably through you or something when he used to come to Venus, and we thought he was on drugs. You know
He-
what I mean?
so
um,
the oddest thing about it is Elliot's known me for a good long time because his older brother Rob, I'm not sure if you know Rob or not, John, but um holy crap, almost missed this. Hello, Donald. I guess Donald's gonna get to hear the story about how I know Elliot here since he jumped.
all right on. Hey,
Yes, and
so what's
we're
up,
yes, and
Evan?
we are talking about Elliot. So um Rob is Elliot's older brother. He's actually known my younger sister Michelle for years, maybe like almost 20, actually maybe over 20 now. Because I graduated high school in, yeah, it's been 20. So maybe closer to 24 years is how long my sister's known Rob. It's from the YMCA days. And so that's how Elliot originally remembers me, as that, as I mentioned earlier at the start of the podcast, as that angry Asian guy, as a lot of people used to call me before. Just very bitter and pissed off and short tempered all the time, right? So Elliot remembers me as that guy, and I only became friends with him when I moved back from Vegas because as he was saying during his speech in the wedding, and this is a true story, I was very broken when I moved back from Vegas. My life was kind of in shambles. It's not like I had really intended to move back so soon because I was only there for less than a year. The reason why
Oh,
I ended up moving home is when I first moved up to Vegas, my, my paternal grandmother was going kind of downhill. She had had a fall. She was kind of borderline dementia, and we kind of knew that maybe within the next few years her time would come, just naturally because of everything that had been going on. So she passed.
Mhm.
The thing that really floored me is the week after she passed away, my maternal grandmother, who I was extremely close to growing up my entire life, she really took a lot of care of me. She had a massive diabetic stroke and she was paralyzed on the whole right side of her body. So when I came home from my other grandma's funeral and I saw the condition my other grandma was in, I lost it. I completely lost all focus in life and I was like, I have to come home. And it was at that point, which was, I think it was, must have been like June or July, the remaining months after that, combined with the fact that things were not going well with the girl that I had moved up to Vegas with, I just don't think we were ready for it. We were too young. We didn't have the focus in the right places for it.
Mhm.
Everything just kind of, for lack of a better word, it went to shit, you know? And my old boss, when I used to work at Swarovski, when I was living in Vegas, she told me the first day that I came back to work after being here for the funeral, she's like, I already knew you were gonna go back. I could just see it in your eyes. Like you left part of yourself back on the island when you came back to Vegas that last time. And that
Mhm.
was kind of the whole gist of it. Oddly enough, I turned to gambling because I never used to gamble up there. I'll play a slot machine here and there, but a good friend of mine, Thomas, who is my classmate, he was also living in Vegas at the time, so I used to hang out with him a lot. He worked over at Mandalay Bay at Red, White, and Blue as a server. So a lot of times, because my ex would work the night shift, I would drop her off at work since we shared a car, and I would go wait for him to get off work at like say 11:30. And so between the time that I got to the casino and when he got off, I would just kind of putz around and be bored. So I'm like, I start, of course, naturally, right? You get interested and you start looking at what people were doing. I gravitated toward the craps table and I started to watch. And then I wanted to try. And then I started spending money. And that was kind of the downhill part of it per se. And I found enjoyment in it. And it was because it took my mind off of my problems per se,
Right,
you know?
right.
So in a way, even though part of me wishes at times that I would have stayed in Vegas, I kind of question now that it's been, let's see, 11 years going on 12. Actually, it's been 12 now because I came back at the end of 2008. Yeah, so technically it's been 12 years now since I lived up there. I probably would have been okay, got my head on straight, done the right things. There's obviously, I know you guys both talk about it oftentimes on your episodes here, that there's way more opportunity up there. But the hard thing is that, and I think you both will attest to this, the hard thing for Hawaii based people is regardless of the opportunities and everything else that's out there in the world, family is family. And that's one of the things that it's like a blessing and a curse. That's what keeps a lot of us here. Even though it's expensive as hell to live here and there's lack of opportunities and there's all this like so many bad things that we can attribute and throw into that bucket of saying, okay, this is bad, 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 and your list becomes like whatever long. Everything else gets trumped when you say, but my family's here.
Right, right. Like that's one of the reasons why I try to go back at least once or twice a year is because like well I do have a good fan base for my art and everything. But I get to see my family and my friends,
Yeah.
which I don't get to see too often. I mean I have to travel excuse me 300 miles to see my brother Mark, Um I don't mind because I like to drive. That's why the mainland's perfect for me because I don't care. I'll drive literally 10 hours straight. I don't care. Um, but at the same time, it's difficult to know that if I do want to see Mark, if I need somebody to be there for me, I'd have to go 300 something miles. You know, in Hawaii, you can literally. I mean, the traffic is still 3 hours to go across the island, but it's only so far until your family's right there for you.
Yeah.
So, but also, I mean, like you said, I think when you move to Vegas, you got a plan, and sometimes plan just doesn't work out. Life gets in the way, and situations, relationships, whatever. They steer you in different directions.
Yeah.
And I think you going back to Hawaii was actually a better thing for you because you know what it's like to be on the outside, like the mainland. So if at any time you want to, you could do it. But
Yeah, I
again,
could.
and you know that. So just the fact that you're whew, Hawaii is very, very expensive. You can only go around in circles for so long. Eat shrimp on one side and play with the tourists on the other side. Um, but it is Hawaii, and we grew up there. We love it there. So if I ever win $300 million in the California lottery, I'm getting a house in Hawaii. It's the only way I can afford it.
Yeah.
Yeah, true
Yeah,
that.
the connections you build with, like, I find that, even in Vegas and San Diego, I still connect with people from Hawaii way more than I do anyone else. Not to be, racist or, I don't know, statist or whatever you would call it. You always kind of gravitate to people from Hawaii a little bit more than anyone else for some reason.
Well, part of it,
Those
I
relationships, those
honestly think that
bonds.
it's a comfort zone, right?
Right.
So being that the three of us were all born and raised here, we have a certain way that we speak. Even though, like, I used to, when I lived in Vegas, I used to try and pride myself on speaking properly, using the right terms, and not saying, "Oh, over there, yeah," and speaking all kinds
Yeah.
of pidgin. It's just I didn't realize that we have it, but we do have an accent to the way we speak when we're born here, and you don't realize it because everybody else does it.
Right.
Definitely. I think my wife
Sarah
always
is
noticed that to
completely right
me,
in
and
saying Vegas and Henderson, you always gonna find somebody from Hawaii.
yeah, for
And
sure.
I hate the stereotype, but a lot of the guys that live up in Vegas now, at least my friends, it's like they speak more pidgin when they live up in the mainland than they do here.
Well,
It's like almost like they have to force it.
I noticed they speak more pidgin when there's Hawaii people around. Like if there's no Hawaii people around, dude, my vernacular, everything changes. Um, when there's one Hawaii person, all of a sudden, brah, how you been? Blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Right, this fucking guy. I was gonna
They're,
crack the one solid one, but nah, never let go with jail. Everybody around me like, who the hell are you?
yeah. From there, all they gotta do is say one thing and then mock action all day after that.
Exactly.
You could be like, "Hello, how are you?" Then, "Oh, you from Hawaii? Oh,
Oh, hey,
brah."
yeah, how's it? Hey,
Where you
hey,
from? What's
uncle,
who
how
you
you?
like?
Oh, right, like Donald is saying, "Hoba, get the grinds."
Uh,
It's funny
Sorry.
because 720, his wife, she comes to Vegas all the time, and I think 720 he only came once, maybe once or twice. I don't know.
I think he's been there once.
Yeah. He should come more often, man. I mean, hang out. You know what I mean? Joel, he's in Hawaii now, and the accent indicates from Hawaii, but he was in Alaska, and apparently there's a lot of Hawaii people in Alaska too.
Yeah.
So, well, he's been there twice now. Oh, you world traveler! That's another thing. Hawaii go for
Yeah.
no reason.
Or like you
Like,
guys were saying last week, everything has to be plural. Oh, we go Wikes, not Waikiki. We go White. We go Alas. Oh, we go Jacks, pa.
dude, it's so
yeah,
funny. Like,
we
Mark's
we shorten it, but we put a plural to it.
Yeah.
like, why do you shorten it but make it longer? What do you mean? Like olives?
It's one of those linguistic things about living out here. Well, see, if you say zips versus zippies, then yes, it is shortening it.
Yeah. Or we go zips. Which
I'm
one?
actually probably gonna go zips after this.
Washington. Washington.
No,
So
I'm
what
going
side of the island are
Kahala.
you from?
I live in Kaimuki,
Okay.
so
So what zips do you go to? You go to Kahala? The
yep.
Kahala one. Yeah,
Kahala
that was a nice. I remember
zips.
when they first built it. I was like, oh, dude, this thing is freaking beautiful.
Yeah, that one was cherry. Well, you figure you gotta suck up to your Kahala based clientele.
Right? Like Mariah Carey, she doesn't want to go to the zippies that get like roaches at.
Oh, don't take her to the one in Kaimuki then. That's what is that like? Not Eighth Ave one, the one by
Yeah,
Sacred
8th
Hearts
Avenue.
and St.
Yeah,
Patrick's. That one is dirty.
county is well, because it's outdoors too, so you
Yeah,
know what I mean. Nobody cleans it. They don't care. The only
nah,
time I go
That's extra flavor, you.
Yeah.
A
I remember going over
cockroach.
there only because
Speaking
everywhere else is busy.
Yeah.
speaking of Kaimuki and say you went to St. Louis, how about St. Louis Drive-In? I know Free has a thing about that place.
I haven't gone there in a long time. I mean, obviously in high school we went a lot, but it's not one of the places that I crave. I wouldn't say like
Yeah.
if I want a good plate lunch, it's one of the places I'm gonna go to. I'll go to Rainbows way more than that.
Oh, dude, of course you go to Rainbows. So, like for me, St. Louis Drive-In, they had a well, they got shut down for a while for having a cockroach infestation. They cleaned it up so they're up and running now. But back in the days when my brother went to St. Louis and all my cousins and everything, um, they had like the greasiest fries, but they taste so good.
That's
Oh
why
my,
it tastes good, you.
that's why it tastes good. But yeah, you put your like you put your fingers in into the bag, which is the you put them into the bag and your whole hand is just greasy. Um, so that was
Fairbanks,
good.
Alaska. Yeah, that's no bueno, Cheryl. That's way too cold.
Fairbanks.
Dang.
So, Mitch, I have a question for you since you seem to be chatty here. If he's saying if we go zips here in Washington, it's a totally different experience. I'm curious where you're talking about. But secondly, I'd like to know what part of Washington you live in, and then third, because I hear there's a lot of good eating places. Where would you say your favorite place to get a burger is in Washington? Spokane. Okay. Because I have a lot of people. I mean, especially with me collecting Funko, I have a lot of friends that live in like the Kirkland, Seattle, Everett-ish area. A lot of people just like rave about Dick's. I've never been there yet, so I figured I'd ask you since you do live in the state. See what he says.
Like
Yeah.
this, as in like the place where they act like assholes while they serve you.
No, no, no.
Dick's is the place
You're
on
thinking
Posse
of
on
what is it?
Broadway.
Like Dick's
Plus,
Left
he's a
Right?
lot of it.
Yeah.
We actually
Dick's
went there.
is the place where the poor hang out. The swaths like to play and the rich flaunt clout. I actually went to Dick's one time. I think the burgers were okay when I was in Seattle.
I think it was more about the milkshake.
Hmm.
The Dick's milkshake was really good.
And so, John, where do you typically go out to eat up
Dude,
there?
you're the only guy that calls me John, dude.
That's one
But
of my things. I don't know if you realize that. Like, even though like I may call him K Smooth around other people, if I talk to him or if I
Kelsey,
talk to people that know him, I'm gonna say Kelsey. I'm gonna say James. I'm gonna say Ben. I'm gonna say
see,
Derek.
it's
You know.
funny because DJs, especially back in the days, DJ Triangle, DJ Rectangle, whatever. Like we all know that like our real names, but because we're in the public eye, especially on like radio, I don't want to slip up and say, "Oh, we got DJ Kelsey K Smooth." You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so I looked at, especially back then, I looked at it like we had superhero names. Like, oh, we got DJ Edit, we got DJ Technique, we got DJ this. And the guys that actually had like their actual name, like DJ Richie Aki, I was like,
Mm.
but that's your real name. Like that's not Superman name. Do you know what I mean? That's like a Clark Kent name. And so, but what he taught me, he's like, well, when people call you by your real name, there's a reason for it. Now, before he used to go by Richie Rich, but every time he'd go to like the restaurant or whatever, put his card down, nobody would know it. So now he changed it to Richie Aki. So when he put his card down, they look at it and go, "Oh my God, you're Richie Aki from I-94?" Yeah, that's me. So that kind of recognition. Like for me with Facebook, having to change it to John Isabello, after a while, like I tell people I'd rather be called Free, but I get it. It's Facebook. You go by what you read. So I'm getting used to it by now. I mean, I don't really care, but man, back in the days, like I'd be like, dude, don't call me that, man. Now I'm like, bro, call me
Or
whatever you
that's
like.
like with Doc. A lot of people don't know Doc as Sean, but I call him Sean.
Sean Boyd.
Yeah. To me, if I know you personally enough that I know your first name, I want to call you by your first name because it's a sign of respect. But
Yeah, you know,
to each their own. Yeah, to each their own. But
I
to me,
I think just
that's my rule.
yeah, I think
well,
just back in the
I
day,
get
like you said, it was like almost like a superhero thing. It was almost like your secret identity. You didn't want anybody to know your real name,
Yeah.
especially with back in the day when radio was radio. There are a lot of radio stalkers out there. So you're like, oh, no, tell me my name. I don't want to know my name.
I don't want her to stalk me. Um, but yeah, so I mean, even now, like people say, I didn't know your name was John. I was like, yeah, you can call me that if you want. They're like, nah, I've known you for 7 years as free. I'm not gonna change now. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
In the
You
same
know,
respect, because I'm the same way. If my friends call me Edit, I'm like, well, for one, that name to me kind of died a long time ago. But when I was still working in the radio and nightclub business, I'm like, my friends call me Ryan. I know that it sounds like a real asshole thing to say, but I used to like from before I moved to Vegas, I used to always say that, and I meant it. My friends call me Ryan. I'd rather be called that. And I used to give this speech, which sounded real asshole-ish, but it's up to you what you want to call me. It's kind of implying like I'd rather you call me
Oh.
Ryan, right?
well, so I mean, okay, when you said that moniker kind of died a long time ago, so does that mean you don't DJ at all anymore, or?
I still help. I was helping at Lucky Strike for a while, but near closer to the wedding, everything kind of like was ground zero. I had to make sure that I was attending to this. I had a lot of stuff going on at my day job, and so I stepped away from it.
Mm,
And I'll still help people do weddings and everything, but as far as being out and about every week, I don't enjoy it. I'd rather be at home, go to bed at like 10 o'clock.
right?
I'm not a
Yeah.
night person anymore. I don't enjoy doing it. I have a hard time staying up late, to be honest.
Mhm.
How old
And
are you now, man? Like
I,
37?
I'm younger than you guys. Yeah, I'm 37. I'll be 38 this August.
Wow, dude, I said 37 as a joke. I thought you were like 35, 33.
No,
I was like,
Dave, Technique, and I are same age. We're 2000
wow,
grads.
holy crap! Did you guys graduate from the same school?
No,
Did, did
I am not Hawaiian.
Oh,
Dave
you
went
went
to
to commit?
Jamaica. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I get this much Hawaiian in my pinky finger. You see,
And even then, you have to pick them out of your nose, huh? But
little bit dark. Okay,
a little bit dark.
little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so we got to get technique on this thing. See, the thing is, I knew technique back when he didn't talk at all. Like
Yeah.
when he
Now
first.
Dave, shut up. Now he
Nowadays,
talks a
I
lot.
shut him. After 720, you can't shut that guy up anymore.
Especially if you give him one or two beers. Dave, he good. He's like, yeah, 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 yeah. We go, we go.
Rick's good every now and then. What's D Lisa's up in Spokane? Well,
I'm gonna get
hopefully we can
out.
get a. Okay, second. Well, hopefully we can get a gig up in Spokane, Washington. Like Mark and I used to actually travel a lot, like Seattle, San Luis Obispo, and all that. But life makes it where you got to make those choices of what do I really want in life, and then later on you can travel later, but got to get everything settled. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
me, I'm still single. I don't ever want kids, so whatever. But see, this is where we start getting to like the whole. Oh, what you doing? What you doing? What school you in? So what time is it now, Mark?
We about an hour 18 into the podcast. We're still good unless you guys getting tired.
Well, my wife texted me. She was napping because she had to work inventory this morning. So she came home and she napped, and she's like, "I'm hungry," so
Uh-oh.
I may have to get off soon. So
Okay,
I
no
Okay,
can get her
problem. Just
some
let us
food.
know.
How about this? We'll call it another 10 minutes, and then that way it gives us some time to kind of like cap off and everything here. Yeah, tail
Mhm.
off, and then I'll go.
Okay,
do you
cool,
have any
cool.
future plans of coming back to Vegas or even visiting the mainland or moving back here?
As far as right now, well, I mean, San Diego is always in the cards every year. I go every year for Comic Con. Um, Vegas is always an option. Of course, if I'm gonna come, I'll let you know. Other than that, in March we're going to Japan for a honeymoon.
Nice.
I
Nice.
have not been back to San Francisco in probably like 15 years, aside from SFO, which doesn't count. Just transferring through the airport. Excuse me. Definitely want to go back to San Fran. Want to go back to New York. I went for the first time last year. It was an
Mm.
awesome experience. But yeah, I like to travel, and the good thing now is I have somebody to travel with. Whereas before, when I first moved back from Vegas, every trip I made was back to Vegas, back to Vegas, back to Vegas because I would go up alone, right? I would
Mhm.
go up alone. I would see some of my friends that transplanted it. live up there now, or some of the friends that I made when I was living up there. But it became really old really quick because you go there on your own, you do whatever you want. Obviously, I could play dice till like 5 in the morning, eat whenever I want, but it gets old real quick. So even though we go back to San Diego every year, it's a different experience, and I've gotten to know a lot more people throughout the Funko community. So it's almost like a family reunion.
That's
Yeah.
You
awesome,
know,
man.
always a good time to see those friends because you share something in common. Same thing like with you two, right? We share something in common with music and nightlife and being here from this state. And
Hmm.
we could talk for days about all the different things like you guys were talking about, like the different eateries and all of that. It's a special thing being from this place in the world, you know. Realistically, while we may not be the most isolated set of islands in the entire world as far as having it habitable and
Mm-hmm.
having a lot of people here, we are the most isolated landmass as far as the population goes,
Hmm.
you know.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
Sure.
So it's a weird thing because even though some people may say like, isn't it kind of like feel sheltered and weird to live in such an isolated place? When I first moved to Vegas and I came home for the first time, it was almost like
Mm.
comforting knowing that the ocean surrounded me all around. Because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you folks both know, living in Vegas, you can look as far as your eyes can see. It's just land, or maybe some mountains, depending on what direction you're looking at. But it's a very different situation. Whereas here, I live in Kaimuki. If I look to my left, if I go out my front door and I look to the left, I see Diamond Head. If I stand on my roof and I look in the opposite direction, I can see the ocean,
Hmm.
right? If you look above you, most times you're going to see clouds.
Mm.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
sure.
especially living in Vegas, um, like well, even if you lived in California, where there's ocean sides and all that, there is it's not clean water. Hawaii is such clean water. You go to California, all the water is green and brown. But even though it's ocean, it's not the same. So,
Mm.
but yeah, I get it.
Yeah, when I first moved out to here, and then we go to the beach, Oceanside, and we're driving past, I'm like, "You guys get in that water?
Right?
Like,
You can swim in
that
that?
don't look right."
Yeah, and see, it's weird. I'm born and raised here. I'm not a beach person. But regardless of all of that, coming home and being on the plane, seeing the ocean for the first time, coming back, I'm like, this is comforting.
Mm.
Right.
You know, to each their own. Everybody, it's about how you were brought up and what brings you comfort. I have on my podcast that I do. I'm sure probably should have mentioned this and plugged it earlier, but I have
Yeah.
three fanatic friends, Funko based friends that I've met through
Mm.
collecting. That we do a weekly podcast called the Four Dorksmen. So the beauty of it is that we're all very unique and different from where we were brought up, our cultures.
Right.
So obviously, you guys know about me. There's also
Mm.
my friend Nate, who's Chinese, but he's Canadian, raised in Canada his entire life. So
Mm.
imagine the dynamic of what we know as, for local Chinese people over
Yeah.
here.
Right.
That not like Chinese, like "Ah, ah, ah, ah." Sorry,
Mm.
I'm sorry, that was really racist. But you guys get my gist, right? So
Mm.
he's not like that. He's from Canada, so it's a very interesting dynamic in the difference there. And there's
Mm.
Clint, who's from Colorado. I don't know his exact ethnic background. We'll just say white guy from Colorado. We often tease him and make drug reference jokes because of where he lives. And then there's Joey, who's from Louisiana. Really, really, really tall Cajun guy, and he speaks
Mm.
with a pretty thick Cajun
Thick.
accent. But it's a really interesting dynamic between the four of us because not only do we have four varying views, regardless, right? Because it's four different people, we have
Right.
four different perspectives from the world.
Right.
So it's a real
Definitely.
interesting thing. If you guys want to check us out, like I mentioned, we do record weekly. We're up on SoundCloud, Spotify, etc. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at _dorksman. If you give us a listen and you want to shoot us an email, it's dorksman@gmail.com. Feel free to check us out. We have actually a contest running right now that we're going to stop this coming weekend, but give us a listen. It's a good time. We also have a very good friend of our podcast, Andrew Newland, who's also from Colorado. He did a beautiful thing and he made us a bingo card. So if you want to check it out, it's dorksmanbingo.com. You can actually play bingo along while you listen to our episode. Pretty beautiful thing. But yeah,
So
please, if you
it's a
guys are
Awesome.
interested in pop culture, it's not about Funko. It's just basically about
okay.
pop culture. Sometimes we talk about Funko related items. Like, if you guys are familiar, London Toy Fair was this past weekend.
Oh
So
yeah,
we
that
talked about,
thing.
yeah, we talked about some of the releases, some of the stuff that we're excited about, but it doesn't always focus around just Funko. It's just basically a pop culture podcast. So if you guys are interested, come check us out.
Yeah, we'll definitely put the
Cool.
link on a little bit later on, and we'll definitely check it out. I was wondering what if it was just about Funko, or as you said, just basically pop culture in
Yeah,
general,
just pop.
things going on. That's cool. That must be interesting. And you guys all met up because of your love for Funko. So
Yeah, it was
ah,
it was what brought us together. So, as I said earlier about
mm,
my good friend Keone, it's these things. Even though I collect the products and the toys,
mm-hmm.
the greatest thing that I've been able to collect as a result of all of this is the friendships that I've gained along the way. And if you do start getting into the fanatic community and collecting Funko and you start to meet more people, you start to realize that more and more and more. It's really about the people that you meet. It's not about the products anymore. It's about, like, I could say, we in closing here, we were talking about this one that my wife had made for me. I
Mm-hmm.
can tell you like countless stories about some of the stuff that I have up on my wall. Like when Keone and I went to Funko Fun Days for the first time in 2017, getting to share that experience with him and having that lifelong memory of that time that we spent there. I have pieces back on my wall there that it ties directly to that memory. So
That's
it's
awesome.
a
Right, like
it's a beautiful thing. That's why people collect things. That's nostalgia. That's what you form the bond on.
Yeah,
yeah, I'm sure like certain pieces have certain stories to it, and like you said, you're always gonna tie that piece into the story, so it's worth more than just the monetary value of it or whatever it may be. That you have that memory that's built in with it that you can keep forever.
Yeah, I think the same thing can be said for some of the vinyl records that we collect.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
You know, since I know the three
Well,
of us can all relate on that item together.
No,
well,
for sure.
when Lanai and all that, when they came out with the Aloha Plate Funko set, I don't know if
Yep.
you can. It was in San Diego,
Yep.
and they had an after party with Baba B, and they were like, before they started singing, they started throwing out some stuff, and of course, you don't know what you're getting, so I just grabbed a few, and I got a prototype uh, Monkey King from
Okay.
Japan, like an
Mm-hmm.
Asian pop, and
Yep.
it turns out even out of box, it was like it was worth like 200 something bucks,
It's a
and I was like,
prototype.
oh
That's why. Yeah.
yeah, as a prototype, it was like all white, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And I was like, this is kind of cool. Like, I mean, the detail that you can actually get in these things, I mean, it's amazing. Some of them are really cool. Like, there's some like Dark Phoenix or Phoenix where they got the fire coming out of her base, all
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff. So, and of course, most of the Star Wars stuff is cool.
Yep.
Okay, so we're about to close out the show, but Mark, are we doing the intro?
Oh yeah, okay. Brand new thing. We're gonna make you our little guinea pig for today.
Okay.
We're
Sure.
gonna end the show with a segment we like to call "Try Answer Fast Kind."
Okay.
That's a fast kind.
So, Free's gonna send off some rapid fire questions for you, and you just say the first thing that comes to your mind.
Okay.
Okay, you ready? There's going to be 10 questions. Are you ready?
Deal. Shoot.
Okay, number one, what would your superpower be?
Being rich, because then
Okay.
you have limitless. I mean, to be honest, that's Tony Stark's superpowers. He's rich. So
And Batman and what's his name? Black Panther.
yeah.
But you know what? I'm thinking like that whole rich thing, or like, being like, rich, you have to have the mindset to do it. So, basically you have an
Okay.
IQ of 3,000. Okay,
Okay.
best kind of pasta.
Best kind of pasta? Are you talking about the noodles?
Yes.
Um, angel
3,
hair. Angel hair.
2. All right, angel hair. Brain freeze or stub your toe?
Why?
You got to
Why
choose
would you
one.
even have to choose between that?
You got to choose one. Brain
Brain
freeze or
freeze.
you take brain freeze?
Yeah.
Okay. Musubi, manapua, or gyoza?
Ooh, gyoza.
Okay, good answer. All-time favorite rapper.
Biggie.
Biggie. Excuse me. Best rock band.
Best rock band. That's a tough one too. Um, I'm just gonna say Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi. All right. Anybody but Iron Man. Who's your favorite hero?
Hmm.
3.
Star Lord.
Star Lord. Okay, that's your answer. All right. Favorite stand-up comedian.
Ooh,
3.
that's a hard one too. There's a lot of good ones. Ron White.
Ron White.
Uh,
You mean tater salad? All right.
yes.
Okay. You getting tickled by a naked Robert Downey Jr.
Oh my god.
or you got to tongue kiss Roseanne Barr for 2 minutes. 3.
Well, I'm sorry. Read the question again because you cut out.
Okay. Get tickled by a naked Robert Downey Jr. or get a tongue kiss from Roseanne Barr for 2 minutes.
I'll get tickled by a naked RDJ.
You want a tongue kiss Roseanne Barr?
No, thank you. I'll pass on that. Hard pass.
I'll take it, Robert. I'll take a naked Robert. All right, and the last one. Name any porn star. 3, 2.
What? Jenna Jameson? Is she one?
There you go. And that's our 10 questions, man. Fast time.
Obviously, I don't know. I don't know any of the last one.
Obviously, you don't know.
Yeah.
It's like literally
Yeah,
a
Free
brand new girl.
Free could have rattled off like 100 in
Yeah.
10
Well,
seconds.
that's his prerogative, not mine. That's your Kuliana butter.
I'm just saying, man. You got to be knowledgeable, bro.
Well, you're still single, so it's okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
But even Joe Rogan, you know, you just got to be knowledgeable about what you talk about. That's all.
Just make sure next time you sit on your hand first, you lose feeling, and then you just rub it out. Stranger action.
All right, so that's my 10 questions for Brian. Thank you for answering that, man. That was fun.
Yeah. And that was try answer best kind.
I would recommend for the next guest, though, you guys do that at the start.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got kind of thrown off there, but it's all good. But we'd like to thank you for joining the podcast.
Thank you.
The Aloha State of My podcast, and we'll definitely check out your Four Dorksmen podcast. We'll also leave the links in the chat and the description and all our social media. And we just want to thank you for spending the time and spending your evening with us on this Tuesday.
I do appreciate you guys having me on. You know, even though I'm not one of those guys that moved away per se, since I'm here, it's nice to be thought of in that respect, and I appreciate you guys very much.
Nah, man, we wanted you on, bro. It's awesome that you came on and spent the time with us. I know that your wife is I'm hungry. Let's go.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I gotta be honest. This interview, this show went totally different than what I thought it was gonna be. But it was awesome though. I loved it.
The
Yeah,
good
but
thing about it is everything that came out was organic about it, right? It's nothing was forced. I do want to mention though, John, I will see you very soon since I know you're going to be home for the wedding. By the way, congrats, Jax. I hear you're getting married soon. I'm sure you guys are aware Wes has commissioned me to be there for the wedding to help provide the music, so I will see you guys at the wedding.
Oh, sweet! Yes.
Nice.
So that night of specific nights, you can call me Edit if you want. I won't be back about it since I'm there in
Dude,
that
I'm gonna be
respect.
so
but-
drunk. I'm gonna be like, hey, bro, dude. That's what I'm gonna be calling you all night. Now, honestly, man, I don't need to be drunk. I haven't gotten drunk in years. I don't need it. I'm gonna enjoy my time with my friends and family. So,
That's
including
the
you,
important thing. That's the important thing is the time spent with those that you care about. Really.
Yeah. For sure. He said Asian Edit Stark. That's what Donald
Well,
said.
it's better than Asian Edit Stink.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it. This is stank.
Or some people also call me Teriyaki Tony. That's fine with me as well.
Yeah, that's a little
Although it
racist.
sounds kind of racist. Well, hey man, we're from Hawaii. We're racist towards everybody. It's okay.
Right? It's okay. I mean, my mom still calls black dudes popolo. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm like, Mom, you say that? She's like, shut up.
I still say it. I still say it.
Right?
It
It's
is
not
what
a-
it is, man.
It's not derogatory. In fact, Howley's more derogatory than anything.
Yes, it
But-
is. It's like saying gaijin.
Gaijin.
Well, it means foreigner. You know, it's like one of the most
Yeah.
disrespectful things you can call somebody, really.
Right? Well, Tom Selleck had to go through that, but he played baseball in that movie. So, but he still got the girl.
Yeah. But on a positive note, it was really nice to see a lot
Oh,
of familiar faces jump through the chat here. Joel, I'm sorry
Yeah.
that I didn't really, in our past life, I'm not sure where in the islands you're from, but I don't know you personally. But thank you very much to Cheryl. She's a collector friend of mine for stopping by. I'm not sure if she's still here or not. Obviously, Jax is here. Donald is here. So, your other friend, what was his name? Mitchell or Mitch
Yeah, Mitch
from
Palooza.
Spokane. Thank you very
Okay.
much, guys. Not sure if you're still in here or not, but I do appreciate you guys jumping in the chat here, giving us additional topics to discuss here.
Right. Awesome. Very
mm.
cool.
Yeah, for sure. And everyone else watching, I see like more people watching, but not really active in the chat. But be sure to subscribe, and we want to thank you for tuning in, even though you guys were silent. Don't be so shy next time. Jump in the chat.
Right? Yes. Like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell.
All right, we'll wrap it up. We'll let you get to your wife and to your zips run. Maybe I don't know where you guys gonna go.
I should take a
I'm
picture
gonna.
and just make you guys jealous that because you
Right.
I know.
cannot partake in Zippy's.
I'm gonna eat vicariously through you tonight.
Right. Drive safely,
Okay.
Jack.
Okay.
Eyes on the road first.
I know. For real. Oh boy.
Really, thank you
It's all
guys.
good. All
Okay.
right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much.
Round of applause once again. Thanks for joining us tonight. Give a round of applause, and hopefully we'll get you on the podcast. Maybe when you got something else, maybe some new Funkos, or
Oh, there's
maybe
always
we'll
new
become.
stuff coming in, but you let me know. I'd be happy to come on again and chop it up.
Yeah, I got a feeling we might wind up down that rabbit hole. Me and Free might start being Funko collectors as well. Well, he's already started ever since they got the Magneto, but you guys might suck me into this rabbit hole as well. But you have a great night, and thank you again for joining us.
All right, guys. Good night. Take care.
Aloha.
Aloha! Aloha!
Podcast.